If you're alienated, you may not think you need to do anything about it. Maybe you want to take sides with your favored parent. You may believe that your other parent deserves to be rejected, or you cannot forgive them for their mistakes. Eventually, you may want to make things better, but not right now. So before telling you what you can do to help, let's talk about why it's so important that you do repair the damaged relationships, and that you do so as soon as possible. Psychologists have discovered that children who grow up with one parent instead of two are more likely to be unhappy and troubled, not only as children, but also as grown-ups. It stands to reason, one parent, no matter how great, can't do the work of two parents. You can't learn as much from one parent as from two. One parent may prepare meals, nurse injuries, and soothe fears. Another parent may teach you to play ball, build and fix things, and deal with bullies.
They say that they wish that they had not been taken so seriously, that they never stopped loving that parent, and that they should not have been allowed as children to make a decision to end contact with that parent. They feel the rejected parent should have tried harder to restore a positive relationship. And they're angry at the favored parent for having acted in such a way as to make it difficult to maintain a good relationship with the other parent. And the children feel guilty about themselves. They look back and think that they were too mean to the parent, and they feel bad about having treated the parent in such a shabby fashion. Children regret all that they missed out on by not having the rejected parent involved in their lives. They're sad that that parent wasn't part of their school events, wasn't there at dance recitals, wasn't there for athletic events, wasn't there at school graduations, may not even have been there when the child grew up and got married. They've lost a lot, and they know they have, and they can't make it up.
Some clever children may catch on before they grow up. After learning about alienation, maybe in this show, they realize that they got caught up in a situation that was not what they wanted and not good for them. It really isn't very fair. Before the divorce, you had two parents you loved both, you had fun with and felt protected by them. Why should you lose one parent just because your parents live apart? Divorce is supposed to be between the grown-ups. It's bad enough that you have to get used to living in two homes. Why should you also have to choose between your parents? There is one more reason why it's time to reconnect with your rejected parent. Face it, it doesn't feel very good to act mean and disrespectful. It feels wrong, and it is wrong. And why do it now instead of waiting for the right time? Because in some families, the right time never comes around. When children first start becoming alienated, they don't realize that they're going down a path that may end in the complete loss of the parent, and sometimes all that parent's relatives. Before they know it, alienated children have boxed themselves into a corner where they no longer get to see their grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. They may act like they don't care, but down deep, most children are smart enough to realize that they've lost something valuable when they can't tell their grandma that they love her and can't even say thanks when they receive birthday cards and gifts. Truly, being alienated is a very sad thing to be. The saddest situation is when a parent or grandparent dies before you've repaired the relationship. Even if you do reconnect with your parent in the future, nothing can ever make up for all the lost time. So, instead of being stuck in a bad situation and grow up with only half of your family, let's see what you can do to protect yourself from becoming alienated and what you can do to overcome the problem if you already are alienated. It helps to understand why children choose sides when their parents fight. First, choosing sides makes children feel less confused about which side is right. Second, children sympathize with parents who act sad and helpless. It's like rooting for the underdog. Some children choose sides to feel accepted, like they belong to a club, the We Hate Daddy Club or the We Hate Mommy Club. These children learn to hate one parent to feel loved by the other.
Many children side with one parent, say dad, because they're afraid that dad will be mean to them if they don't agree that mom is bad. In some cases, a parent will actually tell children that if you want to spend time with the other parent, don't expect to live with me. Most times when parents make these threats, they're exaggerating. They would never follow through on the threats. They don't really want the children to stop loving the other parent. They don't realize how unfair it is to the children. They're just angry and don't realize what they're putting the children through. Unfortunately, though, if the children take these threats seriously, the children may feel like they have no choice but to take sides with the parent who's making the threats.
You probably know that feeling caught in the middle between your parents is no fun. One girl drew this picture to show what it felt like. She placed one part of her family on the left and the other part on the right. Everyone took sides except her. She was right in the middle. But being in the middle meant she didn't feel completely part of either family. That's why she drew herself at the bottom. Not choosing sides meant not feeling part of either family. So how can you avoid taking sides but still not feel caught in the middle? Like a wide receiver who knows how to break tackles or a gymnast who knows how to do backflips, you need special knowledge and skills. One way to stay out of the middle is to take time to see the problem from other points of view. One teenager learned to say, step back, walk to the other side, see it from the other side. This helped him understand his father's frustration with his mother's behavior. How can you tell if you have good reasons or bad reasons for rejecting a parent? Try this experiment. Next time you go to your parents' home, instead of thinking about how you don't like your mom or your dad, you just tell yourself that this time you're going to have a good time and act like you used to when you liked that parent. After you do this, ask yourself, which feels better? When I go over there with anger and hate, or when I go over there and get along? If you're like most people, it will feel much better to get along well with both parents. Another tip, children benefit when they get involved in activities and interests outside the family. Joining school clubs and teams or after-school activities takes your mind off worries. For example, if you like outdoor activities, such as camping, rock climbing, bicycling, these are great ways to take you away from family problems. Time with friends, especially those who remind you not to take sides, can help. Some children say they couldn't have made it without the help of their friends. Avoid friends who encourage you to get angry with your parents. It's important to have friends who understand, but just as important to have friends who help you find better ways to handle your feelings. But you don't always have to get away from your family to feel better. You can remain connected to both parents without getting caught in the middle by finding special things to do with each one. One girl spent time with her father learning how to fish. From her mother, she learned how to draw. She calls this choosing both sides.
The best way to stay out of the middle is to ask your parents to stop speaking badly about the other parent. Tell them, I don't like it when people say bad things about you, and I don't like it when you say bad things about my other parent. You need to stop. And if a parent lets off some steam by talking badly about the other parent, ask them to stop. Tell them to talk to an adult or a friend about it because you don't want to hear it.
Sometimes it helps if you simply ask your parents why. Why are you talking like this? This simple question can help your parents stop and realize that you don't really need to hear bad-mouthing.
If you're worried that one parent won't accept you if you love the other parent, it's best to ask your parent. I want to love both parents and I don't want to take sides. Will you still love me if I love my other parent? Almost all parents will say yes. And by doing so, they're letting you know that it's okay for you to have a relationship with both parents, just as you need.
Many children ask, what should I do if my parents won't stop saying bad things about each other, even when I ask them to? If you have faced that problem, try acting bored, change the subject, or simply walk away. This is called the NR response, no response. Sometimes NR is the most powerful response of all. You can also make your point in creative ways. One girl made this picture for her parents. She wanted them to understand that the main problem was their negative attitudes, not the things they disagreed about. When parents receive a note, they know you took the time to think about what you wanted to say. You show courage when you write about your feelings. It's a powerful way to let your parents know how you feel. Another tip: ask for advice from an adult, like a counselor or religious leader or an aunt or uncle. Sometimes they will talk to parents and help them understand how important it is to stop bad-mouthing about each other. We end this program with a true story about Daniel, a young man who wrote to Dr. Warshak.
Dan thanked me for helping him understand what had happened to his relationship with his father. He never knew why he hated his father. His father never did anything to Dan that any reasonable person would think was cause for hatred. And Dan knew that his mother's negative attitudes shaped his view of his father. His mother never got over her anger about the divorce. Then, Dan told me his sad story.
Dear Dr. Warshak, when I was 9, my mom said that if I even talked to my father, she would throw me out of the house. From that point on, I never saw or spoke to him. When I was at college, I acted like I didn't need my dad. My girlfriend saw through this. She knew me better and encouraged me to reach out to him. In my heart, I knew she was right. I told myself that one day, soon, I would call him, but I kept putting it off. Finally, I got the courage to call him. I don't know why. I just decided the time was right. But I was too late. A lady answered the phone. She told me that my dad had died 1 month before. I was stunned. When she learned who I was, she told me that my dad wanted me to know that he never stopped loving me. He never gave up hope that someday I would return to him. I can't fully describe my feelings. Heartbroken, sure, filled with regret. I was overcome by guilt and shame for not having spoken with my father before he died. I never got a chance to tell my dad, I love you. I missed out on so much. We missed out on so much. Now I have to live with this regret for the rest of my life. Dr. Warshak, please keep teaching people about this terrible problem. I don't want other children to suffer like me. Dan.
It's too late for Dan, but it's not too late for you. You can simply tell your rejected parent, let's wipe the slate clean and start over. I really do love you and want you in my life. Or if your parent is not with you, pick up a phone and make the call that will pay off for the rest of your life. Do this, not just for you, but for the kids you may have one day. They deserve to know your parents, their grandparents. Don't put it off. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you can do it some other time. The future is unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. Life can be taken from us suddenly with no advanced warning. You'll never meet a person who regrets coming back to a rejected parent, but you'll meet plenty who regret not reconnecting and who suffer for the rest of their lives because they didn't. Be smart. Don't let your parents' mistakes keep you from your right to love and be loved by two parents. Reach out to your rejected parent. You'll be glad you did.